Hello everyone and welcome back to another MSC chess game by the magician from Riga, Mikhail Tal. I studied many chess games of Tal and I'm ready to show all those chess games that I study about Mikhail Tal. They are wonderful chess games just like many of the chess games of Mikhail Tal. So let's see what happened in this chess game from 1964-1965 USSR Chess Championship. Mikhail Tal had the white pieces in this chess game, and his opponent is Evgeni Vasiukov, who was an important Russian chess grandmaster. And I also have a little picture between Mikhail Tal and Vasiukov when they were playing chess. A pretty nice stuff, so you can see Mikhail Tal on the left and Vasiukov on the right. So this chess game was a wonderful chess game. So it looks like they are studying a position. The chessboard doesn't look like a professional chessboard. It is a miniature chessboard, as you can see. So let's see what happened in the USSR Chess Championship between Mikhail Tal and Vasiukov. So this picture was also a pretty rare and a pretty nice picture of Mikhail Tal from the good old times. And let's see. Mikhail Tal, who has the white pieces, starts the game with pushing the e-pawn. We have c6, and Vasiukov is playing the Caro-Kann defense. d5, d4, d takes on e4, knight takes on e4, knight to d7, knight to f3, knight from g to f6, knight goes back, and then e6, bishop to d3, and then c5. Mikhail Tal castled, c takes on d4, knight takes on d4, developing the bishop, knight goes back, and black castled, queen to e2, pushing the pawn, bishop to f4. So, fianchetto, the bishop, lining the rook with the queen. If moving the knight, then bishop takes on h7, and then winning the queen is the idea, maybe. Bishop, knight to d5, bishop to g5, defending the queen, and then knight to h5 by the magician from Riga. So you can see that Mikhail Tal is placing all of his pieces to a very ambitious squares. As you can see, the bishop, the knight, all of the pieces of Tal is targeting the king. The light square bishop is also targeting the king side. The knight is dangerously too close to the king. So this looks like this is a pretty dangerous position for black. So king to h5, and then bishop to e4, pushing the pawn. Bishop goes back, bishop to d6, targeting the h-pawn. So if moving the knight, then bishop takes on h2 is a possibility. But then Mikhail Tal pushed the c-pawn and kicking the knight back. Well, it looks like a very dangerous move, as you can see, because of a very obvious reason. If moving the knight back, what happens? If moving the knight to e7, that would be a silly move. Because of, can you see the reason? What happens if moving the knight back? Then bishop takes bishop, queen takes bishop, and then rook takes bishop is the idea. And black is losing a piece, so this is why in this position we have bishop to a6, pinning the pawn and not moving the knight. It looks like this pawn is going to fall. Maybe pushing the pawn comes to mind. What would you do in this position if you had the white pieces? Actually, this was a very silly question by me, because guessing the next move of Mikhail Tal is not very easy. Mikhail Tal played an unbelievable move. Well, in this position, Mikhail Tal picked his knight and he sacrificed his knight. Knight takes on g7. Oh yeah, hell yeah. What a move, what a sacrifice by Tal. Incredible, incredible. So that deserves double incredible, double incredible. So because of shock, I lost my voice, as you can see. So in this position, of course, what else? Black captured the knight. Also, this is threatening a knight takes on e6, forking queen and the rook. So king takes on g7, and then can you see the next move? Why Mikhail Tal sacrificed the knight? Like a crazy drunk person. Not just like a crazy person, but also drunk as well. What would you do in this position? Of course, knight to d4 is the idea, targeting on e6. That would be family fork and losing the queen. So black is immediately defending with the knight, but this is actually not defending because of checking the king, queen to g4, and then king to h8. Well, Mikhail Tal simply captured the pawn, knight takes on e6. And what else? Knight takes on e6, queen takes on e6, and threatening bishop takes knight, and then bishop takes on f6. It looks very dangerous for black, so this is why in this position, rook from a to e8. And Mikhail Tal simply captured the knight, queen takes on d5. And at this moment of the game, Mikhail Tal has 2 extra pawns, and this is winning for white materially. And this is also attacking the bishop, so there is no time for capturing the pawn. So in this position, Evgeni Vasiukov he captured the pawn, bishop takes on h2, king over, and then queen to f4. So he is not falling behind. Of course, capturing the c-pawn is not a good idea because of the bishop on h2. So queen to f4, and this is forking 2 bishops. It looks like Mikhail Tal is in trouble. So Mikhail Tal is still a pawn up, and Mikhail Tal played queen to h5, and he's threatening checkmate. We have queen takes on e4. Well, you might ask what happens if rook takes on e4, then rook to d7, and this is threatening checkmate, and actually there is no sensible defense. Black is getting checkmated. So this is actually losing. There is no sensible defense. Even if pushing the pawn, we have this, and this is all over for black. So this is why queen takes on e4, and then rook from f to e1, queen to g6. Actually, Vasiukov could have captured the rook. He considered this perhaps. And then king takes on h2, and for 2 rooks, white has the queen. Also, bishop takes on c4 is maybe a possibility. And in this position, we can say that white is maybe slightly better. White is still winning maybe, but you have to analyze this position. After exchanging the queen for the rook, for 2 rooks, that is pretty deep. So queen to g6, and it is white to move. Mikhail Tal captured the queen, and then bishop takes on f6. If rook takes bishop, then rook takes rook. So king to g6, g8, and then rook takes on e8. Rook takes, king takes on h2, and Tal has 2 pawns. But Vasiukov captured on c4, but now rook in, rook to d7 by the magician from Riga. Rook to e6, defending the bishop, black captured on a2, rook takes on a7, and after the massacre, Mikhail Tal is a pawn up. And the final endgame, this final position, was pretty interesting. So this is move 34, and they played many more moves until move 55, I believe. So let's see what happened. Let's check out the moves faster. So this endgame is also pretty instructive. So Mikhail Tal is basically letting his king in deep into the position, using the king as a fighting unit, just like Wilhelm Steinitz said. So placing the king in a very active square, moving to the center and to the king side, checking the king and checking, and then pushing the pawn. And Mikhail Tal has a very solid position. Rook to e2, bishop to c5, rook to e5, king up, king is getting in, and then rook to d3, attacking the bishop, defending, and then rook to d8. Did Mikhail Tal forget about the pawn? Bishop takes on f3 is maybe a possibility. It is not, because of checking the king and then capturing the bishop. So rook back, and then rook to d4. If bishop takes pawn, then rook check, and then capturing the bishop. So rook to e6. If bishop takes pawn, rook check doesn't work because black is going to defend with the rook. So this is why Mikhail Tal is defending. So of course white needs to be careful. White needs to play precisely. Otherwise white is not going to win this. White is only a pawn up, but this is an advantage of course for white. White is winning. And then king in, as you can see, the king is getting in. And also the g-pawn is looking weak. So bishop to b6 targeting the king. Bishop back and then checking the king. And then rook to d3 by Mikhail Tal, a very good move. So in this position, black can't actually capture the pawn. Can you see why? Well, Vasiukov is attacking the rook. So what happens if bishop takes on g4, then checking the king, and then bishop to g5? And can you please tell me how on earth are you going to stop the checkmate threat? Rook to d8, checkmate. How on earth are you going to defend this? There is no defense. So as you can see, Mikhail Tal was an incredibly dangerous chess player. He has threats all the time. He is very sneaky and a very dangerous player. So this is why, even though capturing this pawn was very tempting, Vasiukov impressively saw that and he played bishop to e2. Again, bishop takes on g4, fails. Bishop to d8, only move, and then bishop to g5 and threatening checkmate. And actually there is no sensible defense in this position. Incredible. The king is in the mating net. Engine says rook check, bishop takes rook, but that is losing for black. Okay, so rook down, bishop back, and then checking the king, and then rook to d2, rook to e3, and then bishop to g5 by Mikhail Tal. So the rook can check the king, blocking, defending, of course, rook is coming. Bishop to d3, and Mikhail Tal played the move. And at move 58, Vasiukov resigned. What would you do in this position? Well, white has a move which wins on the spot. Tal pushed the f-pawn and black resigned because of this continuation, defending the rook and then pushing the pawn is marching, and actually there is no sensible defense. King in, king to g8, because if you push the pawn then rook takes pawn with check. But then king to g8 is very important because after pushing the pawn, rook takes pawn is no longer check, and then there is going to be checkmate. So actually this is doom and gloom for black. f7, rook takes on f7, and then rook in, checkmate. After this very dangerous move for black, realized that this is all over for him. So this is why he resigned. What a game by Mikhail Tal. And what do you think about this chess game? So this is also a discovery attack to the rook. There are many threats, so you can't defend everything at the same time. The pawn is marching. What a game by Mikhail Tal. And Mikhail Tal, out of the blue, he incredibly sacrificed his knight. Knight takes on g7. What a shot by Tal. Well, Mikhail Tal has many chess games like this, and Vasiukov ended up losing this chess game when he was a piece up. But actually, slowly everything is falling apart, as you can see, and this is a very dangerous position again, threatening bishop takes knight, and then bishop takes on f6, and defending is not so easy in this position. There are millions of threats. Tal captured the knight, and actually slowly white is basically winning. And after simplifying everything, rook in, and this is very good for white. Okay, so we know what happened. The endgame was pretty long. After f5, Vasiukov resigned. And thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Take care and bye bye.